Welcome to another episode of From Startup to Wunderbrand with Nicholas Kuhne.
Howdy everyone. At the moment I'm in Stavanger, so you'll notice that there's some water behind me. But other than that, very excited to have Daniel Den with us today. And Dan became fascinated with marketing sales almost 2 decades ago. So he's in the sort of same timeline as me. And he's the co-creator of the X Factor Effect methodology, where he and his team have helped support over 20,000 students and clients grow their businesses. So those numbers are quite significant. Daniel teaches the different is the new better, and his framework includes 9 pillars for differentiating your business so that you can become a market leader or category king. And I love that particular line. But the reason we're chatting today is because Daniel is the author of a new book called Ideas That Influence, and he's just sent that to me. So as soon as I get home from Stavanger, I'm going to open that box. And this book has been built to help business owners discover their own wildly successful marketing ideas. And I think that's what all marketers are looking for. So Daniel, what a pleasure to have you on board.
Yeah, and it's a pleasure to be speaking with you, Nicholas, from Stavanger. Did I say that right? Stavanger.
Exactly.
That's fun. Now I'm just, we're going to lower the bar here. I'm not a genius. And I don't know where Stavanger is. That sounds really cool, though. And I want to visit it because your background looks amazing. And I'm like, whoa, where's this Stavanger place? I got to visit that.
There is the biggest boat I've ever seen in my entire life behind me. It is, I might show you afterwards, but it is probably 20 stories high. It is a big oil ship. So a lot of oil and gas is done in Norway, obviously. So they've got all of these fancy ships. But it's actually
stories. That's crazy.
Yeah. So we're actually, they pronounce it Stavanger. So there's a skara R, a very rough R at the end, and they've got a very lovely accent out here. But Stavanger. I'm just going to dive straight into it. Well, first I want to ask, I'm traveling around, but you've got 4 kids and you travel around the world. How on earth do you manage that?
Well, we did try when we were traveling. We traveled full time as a family for about 3 years, and so the trick for us, this is just what worked for us, is we found out pretty quickly that we did not like to do RVs because there was just not enough space for the 6 of us. And what we did really like was we liked going to Airbnbs and staying in an area for about a month. If we stayed for a month, it gave us time to get to know the area, to really experience what the real part of the area was like. And it also gave me personally time to breathe because I still was working. I still work. I'm not retired or anything. So it was this nice balance where we would usually stay in an area for about a month at a time in an Airbnb. And we did most of our travels in the United States. We did go to Canada for about a month and a half once in British Columbia. I loved that. And we also have stayed in some Airbnbs in Brazil because I have worked with a lot of Brazilians over the past 10 years because I also speak Portuguese. And so we did stay in a couple of Airbnbs also in Brazil. So internationally, Canada, Brazil, Airbnbs, and then driving around the United States, staying in different areas. That's how we managed for us. And then a month at a time was kind of like our trick so that we could still live and then still have time to experience the areas that we were getting to know. So that's, for anybody out there looking to travel full time, that's what worked for us as a big family. But for your travels, Nicholas, what's been your favorite way of doing things?
Well, we have been in Norway for almost 2 years now, and we were in Malaysia for 4 years before that, and then in Taiwan for a little bit, and then South Africa, Nigeria, and we've traveled a lot through South Africa. But the kids having been to, I think my eldest son has been in 10 schools in 10 years. So that's too much. We're settling and staying staying in one spot now. So, but the idea of being in an RV or traveling around the country sounds fantastic. But you must be very organized, obviously.
Well, my wife
if
is.
you're going to do that.
I have to be when I have to be, but my wife's the real superwoman and with the whole traveling situation. She kept our ducks in a row, and she's amazing. So I'm organized, but she's way better organized than I am.
Well, behind every successful man is a brilliant woman. So I think we can both attest to that. So let's go into your book, Ideas That Influence. And you say here it was built to help business owners discover their own wildly successful marketing ideas. Why do people need this book? Can't they just generate wildly successful business ideas by themselves?
Can they? That's an interesting question. Can you just sit around and come up with wildly successful marketing ideas? I guess you could. But that's such an interesting question, Nicholas, because I, like throughout my whole entrepreneurial and business owner career, which started in my 20s, I was really good at just naturally being creative and naturally just coming up with all these ideas. And so I would be in these brainstorming sessions with, business partners or just, with people that I was working with. And I would just spit fire, Nicholas. I was just like, oh, we could do this, we could do this, we could do this. And then I would just spit fire all these creative ideas. And then usually who I was talking to would say, all right, yeah, keep them coming. And then we would whittle it down. But then at the end of the day, it was like I was being like the loud one with all of the ideas. And there's a study we talk about in the book where the most effective CEOs, they're actually introverted, and they are really good at listening and helping other people come up and express their ideas. And when you have a CEO that's extroverted and he's like a big ideas guy, what happens in a lot of cases is they end up being the person who dominates the conversation so much that not all of the best ideas come out within the organization. And so what I realized through the years was, okay, I've got this natural ability to sit around and come up with really creative, fun ideas that can break through the noise. But I am, for some reason, that's just one of my superpowers. But there are patterns for coming up with wildly successful marketing ideas that break through the noise. And then there are also procedures, SOPs, that can facilitate the idea brainstorming process when it comes to marketing and sales and everything, and having the whole team be involved as well. And when you can implement the right processes and step by step where you get the best ideas from everybody, at the end of the day, we have more ideas, and then the best ideas have the biggest chance of breaking through the noise. And that is so important today, Nicholas, because there's a recent Forbes article that says that on average, we're exposed to between 4,000 and 10,000 ads per day, which just sounds like an insane number, right? Like, 4,000 to 10,000 ads every single day. Like, how is this happening? Like, how are we exposed to so much information, so much things trying to get our attention? Now, I don't know where Forbes mathematically came up with this 4,000 to 10,000 ads per day number, but it's out there. And Forbes is Forbes, and, I trust it, right? Maybe that's not your paradigm. You that are listening to this podcast, maybe you're like, oh, there's no way it's more than a few hundred. Even if it's only a few hundred, that's still a lot, right? That is insane. So the question is, even if it's only a few hundred, like, what ads did you remember from yesterday? let's say it was only a few hundred. What did you remember? Like what stuck out? What stood out to you? What's stuck in your mind? Nothing. Maybe one thing. Okay, if it's one thing, if it's two things, then how can you be that person that breaks through the noise with that one big, wildly successful, sticky marketing message that captivates the attention of your dream customer? And that's what we cover in Ideas That Influence. That's the whole methodology, is how to craft that jumps out amongst all of the other advertisements and really shakes your dream customer and says, hey, we're here and we're ready to serve you.
I think you're so right with, if you talk about the numbers of ads, 5,000, I heard sort of 5,000 is sort of the average number of marketing messages that folks see a day. And this is everything from billboards to packaging to things that you see around you. So it's not just social media and magazines and things like that. And to your point, what marketing message or what advert is actually stuck out in your brain today? I can tell you today, nothing has stood, nothing. And I see lots of messages.
Nothing,
and I think especially with AI, I mean, AI can generate 500 ideas a second for you. Where human beings and where us as marketers have the advantage, or ideas people, is that the world needs ideas people. AI is going to do all of the activation. It's going to do all of the donkey work after we've come up with that amazing idea. But to come up with something wildly successful that breaks through the clutter, as you mentioned in the book, that takes a certain type of thinking and processes. And maybe talk to me through, is this something that you would read by yourself, or is this something that you could read with your team or workshop?
Oh yeah, well, all of the above. It's so the book and the box experience. It's meant to be consumed by yourself if you need to, if you're like the driving force, the driving marketing force behind your business, or as a team. Better as a team, obviously. And then you just you grab multiple copies and you do it as a team effort. I want to, Nicholas, hit on the point of the AI, because what the truth is this, from my perspective at least. AI will spit out hundreds of ideas, like you said, and AI will, amongst those hundreds of ideas, spit out a few that could be wildly successful. But along with those 100, you're going to get 99 that are going to be more of the same. They're going to be drowned out in the sea of sameness. And so part of the trick is, how can we, and we tackle this in the book, that how do we come up with the best ideas, and then how do we filter them according to a formula that shows us that these, out of the 50 ideas that I came up with my team, these are the 1, 2, or 3 that are most likely to have to pack the biggest punch and break through the noise. And so what we discovered is, and we cover this in the book, there's 7 main elements for your winning marketing message. And you don't have to have all 7 of those checked off. But when you can have a 7 out of 7, then theoretically, there is no reason why it's not going to break through the noise and captivate the attention of your dream customer. And then if you have a couple of ideas where it just checks off 5 or 6 of the 7, then that's still great. It's amazing. It's above average, and you have a much better chance than doing more of the same. When it comes to doing more of the same, that is where most people fail, Nicholas, because a lot of people approach marketing and they say, all right, we need to do marketing. We need to run ads. Let's look what everybody else is doing. Let's see what they're doing. And then let's try to pick off some ideas from what they're doing. And so they'll they'll look at a few ads and that, and then they'll borrow a few ideas from each, and then they'll mix it all up. And then they've successfully created marketing pieces that look just like everybody else. they get drowned in the sea of sameness, and then there's no way that they're that one or two marketing pieces yesterday that stuck out in people's minds, because they're more of the same. They're part of the thousands of marketing pieces that all look the same.
So one of the issues that people have when coming up with great creative ideas is the issue of risk. And you mentioned that it's much easier to follow what everyone else is doing and maybe tweak it a little bit to stay within the category and not offend customers and not do things. But do you talk a little bit about risk taking in this process?
Yes, 100%. Because, it sounds like it sounds like I really understood the customer when I went to write the book, Nicholas, from what you're asking, because I knew that was one of, and all transparency, with our 20,000 students and clients, we had done workshops about everything in the process beforehand. So I knew that this was one of the, like, hey, how do we balance doing things differently, which seems risky? How do we balance that with doing what seems to be working inside of our marketplaces? So here's the balance. It's pretty simple. There's a study that we uncovered during our research that says the following, and we mentioned it in the book. It basically says that the creative approach to marketing is on average 6 times more effective. 6 times more effective than more of the same, what everybody else is doing in your specific market. So on average, you're 6 times more effective. Now, if that's the average, then that means theoretically that you can create something different that falls flat on its face and that doesn't work at all. Or you can create something that's on par with what's normally working, or you can far exceed it. Sometimes you're going to put out that marketing piece that 50x's, 100x's, and that's what you're looking for. The balance is this. We're trying to be different in a way that captivates the attention of our dream customers, and different in a way that those dream customers like it. So different for the sake of being different is not what we're going for. When we teach that different is the new better, and then when we teach all of these marketing concepts inside of ideas that influence, we talk about differentiation a lot. We talk about creativity a lot, because those are some of the big keys for what breaks through the noise. But it's got to be different in a way that your dream customers love. And sometimes you put something out there that works a little bit better, and sometimes you put something out there that works wildly better than what everybody else is doing in your market.
So I'm going to give you one example of an advert that blew my mind recently,
I love
and
it.
then I want you to maybe think of an advert lately that sort of stuck out for you. But I don't know if you watched what's that American football thing? Not the World Cup.
Super Bowl?
Your big football thing. The Super Bowl.
The big game. We can't say Super Bowl, so we have to say, the big game. Yeah, the big game.
Yeah, the big game. I don't know whether you saw Kanye West's advert.
Oh, man. Which one? And I saw so many of them. Go ahead, tell me.
I'll explain it to you.
Okay.
So basically, it looked like he took his phone and was at the back of a pickup truck and with, bouncing around and talking. And he said, we ran out of money. We spent all our money on the time. So I just want to tell you about newyeezy.com, and you can buy shoes and shoes. And that was it. And it was outrageous. It was just lo-fi, crazy. And I think, I don't know whether he spent $3 million or $7 million on the airtime.
Right.
But in I think 2-3 days, he got $18 million worth of sales on his site. So again,
Right.
out of the box, everyone is spending big money, big directors. There Kanye was on his phone doing a TikTok basically for the Super Bowl. It exploded my brain. I was like, this guy is either out of his mind on something, or he's an absolute genius. And perhaps there's a very narrow line between the two.
Well, and no, that's a great example of. So one of the things that we teach inside of the X Factor effect methodology is the power of being that authority or celebrity inside of your niche. So when Kanye West goes on and he does a quick 30-second advertisement on the Super Bowl and it's low quality, he is using some of his capital, his influence capital that he has with his dream customers. He at one point was valued at over $1 billion, right? And so he built up over the years all of this influence capital. Now, this is a really high level concept, Nicholas, and what people don't realize is that there is different types of capital in the world, and we can grow the capital within our brands in different ways. There's capital from the money aspect. Okay, my business has, $500,000 in the bank, and my business has a valuation of $2 million, whatever. There's money capital. There's brand capital, and that's the value of the brand. So what's the value of Apple's brand? What's the value of Nike's brand? You can go and search these and you say, what's the brand valuation? Not what's the company valuation. What's the brand valuation? Because they're actually two separate entities. There's the company value and then there's the brand value. And you'll be surprised. So, and then when it comes to individuals, Kanye West, yes, Kanye West is a brand, but he has a certain amount of influence capital, right? And then when we get back down on like the local level, and then like our interactions between our employees and our customers, there's also relationship capital. So there's all these different types of capitals that come into play inside of a business outside of just money, right? What Kanye West did, and this is the reason why sometimes you see these very simple ads break through the noise, is he used a portion of his influence capital in order to quickly make some noise amongst his dream customers and generate a bunch of sales. And that's kind of the dichotomy where when sometimes people, they create the simplest ad in the world and it just sells like crazy. And then you compare that to, the production value of this, advert that cost, $200,000 to put together, plus the airtime, etc. That dichotomy happens because the sales are happening because of different types of things that went on specifically in their market. If I created Kanye West's exact ad, I don't have that influence capital in the sneaker world. And I'm selling how many sneakers? How many Yeezys am I selling? I'm selling 0.
Yeah, that's so true. And those different types of capital, I think, are misunderstood or misinterpreted on occasions. As you said, if we had to go and do that ad, we would have just lost all of our money.
Oh yeah.
So I want to
We
talk
would
to
be
you
bankrupt, Nicholas.
exactly. Better to be. We could have a story to tell. So
Yeah. Oh, really cool. We would get so many podcast interviews to talk about our $5 million loss on our Super Bowl ad that
exactly.
it might pay for itself one day.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the PR that he would have got around this would have exceeded the amount he spent on airtime, which is obviously what you want to look at. So
Yeah.
just very smart. When we are linking creative ideas with the business, and you touched on one thing here where I believe that you've got to have the right creative idea for the right phase of your business.
Yep.
And it's probably easier to take chances on very creative ads when you're starting out as an organization versus being Apple and now changing and doing all sorts of weird things and upsetting the apple cart at a later stage. So what advice do you have for startups or young businesses in terms of using creativity? And again, I talk about that risk. What are the risks of doing it and what are the risks of not doing it?
Yeah, I mean, the risks, it's easier to talk about the risks of not doing it. So, if your business, Nicholas, if we could use the analogy of an apple, right? If you are an apple and you are, let's say you're a green apple, and let's say that you are just like everybody else and you do marketing the same way as everybody else in your market, I would label you as a green apple and you would be stuck in the sea of sameness trying to stand out amongst all the other green apples in your market. So imagine a big bucket of green apples. And then everybody's advertising and they're trying to get some noise and they're maybe getting a slight ROI on their marketing. And they're like, yeah, it works, but like, it's so expensive. I'm giving all this money to, Facebook and Google and whoever they're spending ads monies with, commercials on Hulu, wherever it is that they're advertising. Right. And they're like, yeah, it's kind of working and we better just keep it on because it's kind of working. Right. That's the sea of sameness. You're a green apple. You look like everybody else. The second somebody comes along and says, hey, I'm still an apple, but I'm going to be the one red apple that stands out in the sea of green apples, then it's all eyes on the red apple because it stands out once in the sea of green apples. And the red apple, it's still an apple. That's the coolest part about it. Like, you're still an apple. And you're desirable in different ways. So, different, if we're sticking with the apple analogy, different flavor, different texture, different color, of course. But you're still an apple. So you're still what the dream customer wants. And that's the paradigm that we want to stay inside when it comes to the creative side of things and following everything that we teach inside of ideas that influence. We still want you to be the apple. We still want you to provide the end result that your customers are looking for. But we want to stand out in certain ways where it's a clear alternative so that it's really hard for your dream customers to compare you side by side because there are clear differences. So when it comes to commoditization, and this is why I like to use the example of the apples, if there's more and more green apples popping up, then the price of all the green apples in the market starts to lower because everybody starts to be compared the same and everybody starts to be compared on price. But if you're that one red apple that's got that distinct flavor that people love, and let's be honest, I'm a red apple guy, so I think that red apple tastes better than the green apples. So just throwing that out there. I know some of our listeners, Nicholas, they're in love with green apples, but
I'm a green apple guy. Sorry.
There you go. I prefer the red ones. I think they taste a lot better. I'm a red apple guy. I'm an apple a day red apple guy. And so anyway, but you can flip we can flip the analogy. We can reshoot the episode and we'll just flip it for. No, I'm just messing.
but I like that concept of the you're still an apple, but you are just changing your perception in the market or just standing out in the market. So you're not disrupting everything. You're still in the same category. And I think it's just in a sea of sameness, being able to stand out means you've got to dress yourself in red. You've got to be the red lady in the Matrix, for example, to stand out.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Okay, so I agree with that. And for me, I think the risk of not doing innovative, creative advertising that's going to stand out means that you'll never know if you took that chance. It's like if you're running a race, if you didn't put your full effort or you didn't try something new, you'll never know whether you could have done it. And by the time your business has gone down the tubes, or you're about to exit a business, you'll never know whether that great big idea could have actually done something. And I think at an earlier stage in a business, doing it rather than later, you can make a couple of mistakes in the beginning and people won't punish you too hard, because market share in that is low. And what is the downside? You can say, well, you can have a press article, well, that sucked. Next time we'll do something different or something better. Or it could be wildly successful. So why not get this book, try out the techniques, try out the processes that have been worked out over 20,000 people, and do something that is going to excite your staff. Look, guys, we're going to do something very exciting. We don't know if it's going to work or not. That brings people together, whether it's a failure or whether it's a success. It's a learning. At least you know how far you can stretch your market as well. So I think that's a very important aspect. How far can you take your customer along with you?
Yeah, 100%. Well, when it comes from startup to Wonder Brand, yes. in the beginning, did I say it right? Sorry.
You said that perfectly. I love that. So you're the first person who's actually mentioned my podcast by name on the podcast. So that's 10.
Whoa,
10
there you go. Boom. No, yeah. Well, I mean, just the fact that it's like Wonder Brand is like, oh, that's different. Like, and start from startup to incredible brand. Everybody, but Wonder Brand, that's pretty cool. So, exactly. So your podcast title stands out, right? It's this is different. Like, what's a Wonder Brand? Well, Nicholas is here to talk about how to build that Wonder Brand.
But talking about red apples, I had to do a bit of research, obviously, before I speak to people. And I saw you rapping and in an amazing fur coat. So I need to know a little bit about how you promote yourself, because a part of creating brands that stand out is personal branding. So talk to me about how you've built your personal brand, and talking in front of 7,500 people. I don't think I've met that many people in my life.
Yeah, that was a unique moment for me, and I loved it. I was able to rap on stage in Portuguese. Oh man, I spent a whole week and a half. I practiced every single day of the rap, and just over and over and over again, because it's my second language, right? Yeah. And I'm rapping, and rap is not slow, generally speaking. Rap, like it's spitfire, right? So and so I practiced every day for a week and a half up until the event. And so that was for our biggest event in front of 7,400 of our students down in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Massive event. People loved it. And in that speech, so I think like midway through the speech, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try to get 3 standing ovations in one speech. So I started off the speech with the rap song, and people loved it. People on their feet and they're clapping, and so I started off the speech with a standing ovation. I was like, all right. And so and so halfway through the speech, I get everybody to stand up. And I have them turn on their phones, turn on their camera lights, and I say, all right, we're going to repeat after me, because I was teaching the whole, I was actually, that whole speech, I was talking about our 9 pillars of market differentiation, and just really inspiring people about how they can stack their differences that make a difference inside of their market, and how it can really help them break through the noise. So people were loving it. And I had people make a promise with their lights on. So I got these really cool pictures with the lights and everything. And then I said, all right, everybody, before you sit down, give yourselves a hand. And so that was standing ovation number 2. Yeah. And then standing ovation number 3 is we ended with a really inspirational video that I had done, and people stood up and clapped. So that was the normal number 3, but that's the trick. If you want anybody listening, if you want to be a speaker, a Wonder Brand speaker that gets 3 standing ovations in one speech, that was my trick. start off with a stage performance where I was rapping, and we actually had break dancers while I was rapping, and so that was really cool. And then have people stand up, recite something, and then tell everybody to give themselves a round of applause. That's your second standing ovation. And then standing ovation number 3, you have to actually earn by having a really good speech that compels people to stand up and give you a standing ovation at the end. So that's the trick. Okay. That is the trick. And that was how I was able to get all those really cool pictures of me rapping on stage at one of our events. It was a performance. It was a lot of work, but worth it. And when it comes to branding, Nicholas, and being different and standing out, a lot of the times it's like, well, that's a lot of work, Daniel. That's a lot of work, Nicholas. Like, that was a performance. Yeah, it was a performance. And people are still talking about I did that speech before coronavirus in 2020. It was January of 2020, just before the world shut down. And we still have people talking about it today. So
so now faz mal, huh? Yeah. So
now faz mal. Now faz mal. And you spoke that like a true Portuguese speaker from Portugal. Now faz mal. Yeah. So have you visited Portugal as well?
I lived in a very Portuguese area in Johannesburg, where it is basically Little Lisbon. So we know faturas, and we have potatas and guavas and watermelones and things like that. So there's lots of shh. But my favorite Portuguese word in the entire word is, and you might not know it if you speak Brazilian Portuguese, but is quackish.
Quackish, huh?
So underpants, quackish. It's just the best word. So that's a Portuguese, Portuguese, cool. Or perhaps a colonial Portuguese word.
Does quackish, does it mean like chic, or like what does it mean?
Quackish, no, it's underwear.
Oh, it's underwear.
My quackish.
No quackish.
Quackish. Anyway, I'm sure some Portuguese person is rolling their eyes at me right now in my pronunciations. But as we close this off, how do we get now? That box is on its way to me all the way to Norway from the US, which is amazing. And direct mail is proper direct mail is an underappreciated discipline. So I'm super impressed that you do that. Where can I send folks? I'm going to put a link in the description, but talk to me about your process with how folks can get this book.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you so much, Nicholas. So first of all, the book in the box. So it comes with the book, it comes with a box, and there's 5 experience envelopes. So this was my way of standing out. This was my way of practicing what we teach with the X Factor Effect methodology.
Show me that, but I need to see that box. Show me that box, because I want the folks to see that. That looks pretty cool.
Ooh. Yeah. Oh man, have you seen the inside of the box?
Oh dang! Okay. So I'm ruining my surprise for when I get it. But okay, don't ruin it. Don't ruin it. People need to ask for that themselves. No, close it. Okay.
Close it. So no, it's got to be a surprise.
Tell folks how they can get that.
There's still 5 experience envelopes that you actually have to open. So there's still plenty of surprises. Okay. So So the story behind the box was I wrote this book, and it's amazing, and our students love the process. But in and of itself, how do I stand out in the market with all these other marketing books, right? And I was like, how am I going to do this? So my response was, so one of our pillars for differentiation is to join the age of experience, meaning add a level of experience to any of the products or services that you sell, because people have enough stuff in 2024, but people still love a great experience. So I was like, I'm going to turn the book into an amazing experience, and I'm going to give it all away for free. What? So that was my idea. Very expensive idea, by the way. Very expensive. But when it comes to branding, Nicholas, people are absolutely loving it. They're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you give this away for free. So yes, I give it away for free. It's free plus shipping. if you go to bigideasbox.com, there's a big link on there that has got a button that says, click here if you want one of the free boxes before it's too late, because I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how long I can afford to give away the boxes. So anyway, you click there and then you get to see this really cool video where I drop 10,000 ping pong balls on my head. Anyway, we'll let the people go and see that video. But on the page, you just put in your shipping information and then you just pay shipping and handling. And then I ship you out the whole box with the book and all the experience envelopes for free. And that's our brand activation strategy for introducing people into the whole world of everything we teach with the X Factor effect, is we're giving away this experience with this book for free. So there we go.
Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the unboxing in my class. So I teach digital marketing in Oslo. So you're going to I'll do that in front of my class, and we'll do a video of that as well, and we'll share that on a variety of socials. Awesome. Daniel, what a treat speaking to you, and I love that you practice what you preach, and I'm sure folks will get tons of value out of reading your book and also seeing what other resources and courses that you have. So all the best, and I hope to see you in Stavanger one day. If you can get a Winnebago over here.
Does it end with an R?
Stavanger. Yeah.
Stavanger.
Stavanger.
I'm headed to Stavanger today.
Stavanger. Yeah.
Stavanger.
Yeah.
Stavanger.
Good. Well, Daniel, have a fantastic rest of your day, and I look forward to reading and experiencing your book.
Thank you so much, Nicholas. You're amazing, and hopefully we inspired more people with their startups to, get to that wonder brand status, because that's what we're going for. Yeah, let's go.
Now, before we wrap up, don't forget to show some love for From Startup to Wunderbrand by subscribing on your favorite podcast platform. If you'd like to help us grow, tell your friends, share on social media, and leave us a review. For those of you who want to dive a little bit deeper into the topic, join me on Twitter at Nick Kuhne. Let's connect and chat about all things branding and digital. Until next time,